Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Chinatown, which is a board game that dates back to 1999. This one is an economic negotiation style game that accommodates 3 to 5 players and takes around an hour to play. So the idea of this game is to acquire the most money by the end of 6 rounds or 6 years, thematically depicted on this track here. And as you can see from the board here, we've got all these different regions with these different units numbered from 1 to 85. Now normally the board would start completely fresh with nothing on there whatsoever, but I've advanced the game somewhat just to give you better examples about how the game actually plays. So the way you're going to accumulate money is by building shops, and as you can see on the board here, there's all these different types of shops, such as laundry shops, you've got antique shops, restaurants, you've got tropical fish shops, so all these different things that can be built. And the idea is that you're trying to build the biggest stores, at least connected and controlled by yourself, in order to get more money, because the smaller the unit, the smaller amount of cash you're going to get at the end of the round. So for example here, this tropical fish shop, this number shows what it needs to be at full capacity or at full size, and this one's controlled by the yellow player. So this one is a full 4 shop, which is going to be quite a nice little earner. But from an example here, this factory shop needs a 6 to be at full capacity or full potential, and I'm only controlling one of them at the moment, which is going to be a lot smaller amount of money that's going to gain. But of course, as the game goes on, you can expand that. So let's talk about how the game actually plays out. So the first thing you're going to do in a round is you're going to draw a number of cards from this stack here, depending on the player count. So in preparation, I've already done it here. And these are going to show the units you can potentially claim for your own, at least for the time being. So you're going to have a number of cards, and out of those cards, you're going to keep a number of them. So in this example, in a 3-player game, you're going to draw 6 cards, and you're going to keep 4 of them. So let's just say I claim these top 4 here, and then I'd place my disc on the board corresponding to those spots. So, for example here, that 13 card, I've already put my disc on there. But everyone will be doing this at the same time. And the reason you're doing this is not only to potentially claim spots for yourself in order to build your own businesses into, you have to bear in mind what other people might want as well, because those spots could be worth quite a bit to those players. So, for example here, this red player has these 2 seafood shops here, but he needs room to expand into that to get that 3rd one down. That this spot here and this spot here might be worth a bit of money to that player. So once that's done, you are going to draw a number of tiles from the bag here blindly, depending on the amount of cards that you've kept. So in this example, I'll draw 4 tiles, and I would place them in front of me. And these are going to be the shops that I can potentially place onto the board into my own units. So in this example, I've got 2 takeout stores, I've got a jewelry store, and in fact, I've got a 3rd takeout store, which can be really good because if I had 3 adjacent pieces of property, I'm onto a bit of a winner there. So once every player has placed their units onto the board and drawn their tiles from the bag, then a complete open forum in terms of trading is going to start. And this is where any player can trade anything with other players as much as they want to. So for example, you could trade units for other units. You could end up trading units for money. You can trade tiles. You could do any combination of that lot at all. So it really is open reign on what you want to do here. So for example, this yellow player might really want this spot here because he wants some room to expand his factory into, and he might be willing to trade money for that. He might be willing to trade some of his tiles for that. He might want to give the white player a spot that he wants in exchange. So for example, he might want to swap this yellow token with this white token here so that everybody benefits mutually. So this is completely up to the player's content. They can do whatever they want and strike a deal that they think is good for them. Now after that's complete and everybody is satisfied with what they've done, then it is going to be time to place your tiles onto the board, and you can basically, once these tiles are placed onto the board, then they are not going to be able to move anymore. So once the tiles themselves are placed, they are stuck there, but it doesn't mean the owner is necessarily going to be the same. So even though this player here has already claimed this building, it doesn't mean that I can trade that for a yellow token in a deal that I've struck previously. So that is something to bear in mind. The only thing that you can't move is things that are already stuck onto the board. And after everybody's placed their tiles that they want to, then you are going to basically start this scoring round where you're going to score money depending on the different size of shops that you own. So using this little chart here, which I'm not sure the camera will pick up very well, it's going to show you how much money you get per store that you own. So for example, if you've got an incomplete store of a size 1, you'd get 10,000. If it's an incomplete store at size 2, you get 20,000, 3, 40,000, 4, 60,000, and 5, 80,000. But on top of that, if you complete the stores, then you're going to get an additional bonus, starting from 3 up, going from 50 to 80 to 110 to 140,000. So, not only are you incentivized to get the bigger stores, you also want to complete them for an additional bonus. And as soon as that's done, you're going to take all your money from your bank and you're going to advance the round one space on the track and go again. And by the time the sixth round is finished, you're going to tally up your total amount of money and the winner is going to be determined. So that's going to be the rule set. Pretty simple in terms of the rules overhead, but let's talk about how I feel about the gameplay itself. The first thing that really struck me with this game is how simple the rules themselves are. Simply drawing cards from the stack here, choosing which ones you want to keep, and placing your discs on the board, drawing a few tiles out, and then basically the negotiation is going to start. So that negotiation is really where the game sings, it's what the game is all about, and I love the way that the game puts that magnifying glass over that part of the game and doesn't bog it down with all the other sections. It really is about that crux, the crucible of the game really is about negotiating, striking deals that you think are going to benefit you more than the other players. Now, I generally like negotiation as a general mechanism. There's a lot of my favourite games use negotiation as an aspect of them. And this one, I just love the way that it's the sole focus of it. And the things that you can do in terms of negotiation is fascinating because it pretty much is open game. You can do whatever you want apart from move where the stores are. But even though the stores are placed there, it doesn't mean that you can't just start claiming them as your own if you're willing to pay for it. So I really do love that hustle and bustle. I love the people thinking they've always got one over on each other, and that really does shine through, probably more than any other negotiation game I've ever played, to be honest. I just love the freedom and enjoyment you get from just striking those deals. Absolutely phenomenal. And after you've done that, of course, you're going to start tallying up your worth of all your different businesses, and that itself is great because that mathematical puzzle of what things are going to be worth to you, whether you are going to maybe take a speculative punt on am I going to pay quite a lot of bit of money for this land in hope that I'm going to draw the shop tiles to grow into that as well? Or am I going to sit on a bit of land and hope it's going to be worth a bit to someone else later and potentially charge them a fortune? But also bearing in mind that as the round's going by, that land is going to potentially diminish in value because, of course, you're only going to get the money at the end of each round, so the returns are going to diminish as you go throughout. So there is a real mathematical aspect of this game that you do have to rack your brain over, but the enjoyment and the lightness of it doesn't get bogged down by the the mathiness, and I think that is absolutely great. So in terms of the decisions, it really is up to you what you want to do, and I think Chinatown does a great job of facilitating that negotiation aspect of the game, just really well implemented, and I'm very, very impressed. And kind of following on from the mechanisms and the decisions, the balance is naturally kind of formulated because it really is up to you what you think things are worth. If you get completely ripped off by a deal that you've made, then that's your fault, and you can't blame the game itself for doing that. So it's not one of those games that you feel completely shafted if things don't go your own way. You really have got yourself to blame. Yes, there are some times where players are just going to draw a bunch of these units right next to each other and can easily just expand into them and smash their big buildings down straight away. But that just means that other players can just start driving up or start making harder and harsher deals with that player to try and catch up with them. The production of the game is fantastic. This isn't an overly expensive game, and all the finishes on these products are really nice. A nice glossy feel to the board. The tiles are good quality. These little discs are really good. The card stock is good. The money looks decent. These are all nicely, clearly, depicted. So yeah, no issues whatsoever in terms of the production. I think it looks wonderful, and it's just strikes a nice balance of being, really good quality, but not being overdone. Scalability, you are going to need at least 3 players to play this game, but of course you'd probably presume that with a negotiation style game, it's not going to be good to negotiate with one other player. But even at that lower player count, at that 3 player, it does work extremely well because it is scaled in terms of you're going to get more buildings, and you're probably going to be more likely to get these full size units as well. So yeah, overall, I was absolutely blown away with Chinatown. I'm really surprised I haven't got this one played sooner, and I'm really glad I have now. This one is, I always think it's a bit of a giveaway when a game has been around for over 20 years and is still being sold and still in production and still in print. And this, I think, Chinatown's a testament to this timeless design where the rules themselves are so low and easy to understand, but the gameplay itself is so strong and the game is all between the players. This is exactly what I want from a negotiation game. Certainly, probably the strongest example of pure negotiation I've ever seen. Just absolutely phenomenal, so interactive, really low rules overhead. You're probably going to have the right gaming group to get the most out of it. But even if they don't, and you've got that kind of shyer kind of player, I think they're going to be more invested in this one because they are going to be able to tangibly make those deals rather than just play along and role play kind of thing that a lot of other kind of negotiation styles games do. This one, you can really mathematically map out what you are willing to spend with things and get involved that way. So I'm so impressed with this one. It's brilliant. I absolutely love this one, and it's certainly been around for a long time for a good reason. So yeah, certainly stay in my collection. I'm actually going to give this one my highest acclaim in terms of the Elite Shield because I think it is phenomenal. So that is Chinatown. Definitely check this one out if you like your interactive games, you like your economic games, and you like to negotiate your good deals with other players. This one is just a prime example. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.